Good morning. This is Janelle Harris with 501c TV, the podcast that talks to nonprofits, nonprofit partners, system change leaders, and thought leaders to find out what's new in the industry and what are the events that are going on. Whether you're a nonprofit or maybe you're just starting a new nonprofit, we're hoping that this episode might have some information for you here today. I am very excited to welcome, we have a big group with us today, but it's going to be chock full of some amazing information. I would like to welcome Bob Bertisch and Jerry Leakey, hello, and Dana Brookes from Legal Aid of Palm Beach County. And we have a lot of information to cover here today. So we're going to touch on a little bit about what Legal Aid of Palm Beach County does, how people can get involved and help you out, and maybe some volunteer opportunities for people that are watching. And then also you guys have a really important event coming up that we want to talk about that's at the end of May. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome, and thanks for joining me here today.
Well, really appreciate your having us here, Janelle, so we can let the people know exactly what Legal Aid does to help the community here in Palm Beach County.
Perfect. And you know what? It's very interesting. So I was going back and, I always do a little bit of research before I have my guests on. And actually, I like history a lot. So I went back and I saw that the first roots of civil legal aid was way back in like 1876. That's when they claimed the first kind of roots started for civil legal aid, and it was back in New York, and it was actually helping a lot of the immigrants that were coming to America at the time, which I thought was really cool. So this goes way back, although I think that, if I'm correct, Legal Aid of Palm Beach County was formed in like 1949.
Legal Aid was formed in 1949, and it was a committee of the Palm Beach County Bar Association. They had one lawyer who took phone calls, and what he did was refer anyone who had a legal problem out to private lawyers in Palm Beach County who could handle that type of case. So Palm Beach County was one of the first counties in the state of Florida to actually have a legal aid society.
Yeah, which was pretty cool because if I remember correctly, it was an interesting time also in Palm Beach County because like a lot of soldiers were coming back from war, and they were specifically coming to Florida to get their toes back in the sand, they said, because they might have been deployed here earlier, and then now that the war was over, they wanted to come back and start their roots somewhere and start a family, and where better than Palm Beach County, to be quite honest. So I thought it was really interesting, the whole background of how it started, because started back with one lawyer then, and now you guys have grown to, you have over 100 people on your staff, right?
When I started with Legal Aid in 1981, it was a very small legal aid. We had a staff of 10. We had 4 lawyers, and our budget was around $100,000. We now have grown that we have a staff of 148.
Yeah, that's amazing.
We have 58 attorneys, and we have social workers. We have paralegals on staff now, and a whole, of course, financial and a development department. We handle cases for about 8,000 people every year.
That's outstanding.
And we do this in 6 core areas that we have. And that's family advocacy, children's advocacy, elder advocacy, individual rights, health, and community outreach.
Yep. Okay, perfect. And I saw that on there. So, out of those services, what would you say is kind of like the breakdown, at least in Palm Beach County, for the services that you provide? What are you seeing the most of that people are needing help with?
Probably the most cases we see are in the area of domestic violence. We handle about 1,700 cases of domestic violence every year.
Okay.
And after that, we have, thanks to the Children's Services Council here in Palm Beach County, we have 4 children's programs where we represent dependent children, delinquent children, foster children, and children who are somehow caught up in the juvenile justice system.
Okay, and I think it's important to note too that there actually are some specific things that I might have thought as just looking outsider looking in that you would handle, but you don't actually handle, right? So some of the things that you don't handle would be, so we're talking about kids, like child custody cases. That's not something that falls under your realm necessarily, right?
Well, we do handle through our family law project.
It would go through there.
We do dissolution of marriage, divorces.
Gotcha.
So we would do custodies in those situations.
Okay, got you. Are there any other areas that don't fall under what you guys would do? Because I know it's very extensive of the things that you do, but just so our listeners know.
Well, the basic cases that we don't handle, we do not handle any criminal cases.
Gotcha.
So if you need a criminal case and you can't afford a lawyer, you would then get a public defender to appoint you.
Gotcha.
The only thing where we touch a little bit on the criminal is we do represent some delinquent children who have substance abuse issues, mental health issues, education issues.
Okay, got you. And Jerry, how did you get involved? So that's a good question here. How do our lawyers get involved with legal aid? How does that happen? Because obviously not every lawyer in Palm Beach County is involved with legal aid. So how does that stem? Tell me the story behind that.
Well, we're very fortunate because we do have people who apply for jobs with us who really are passionate of making sure that everyone in the community has a voice. They have an advocate, someone who can really talk for them and express what their needs are, their legal needs.
Okay.
So we get law students who intern with us, and then they decide to come to us, work full-time as attorneys.
Okay.
We get people who just hear about us, word of mouth. We have a pretty good reputation, so lawyers look to us to come and work for. At least now, we've had lawyers who are with us now 25, 30 years, and we have lawyers who have just graduated law school. So we go the whole gambit.
Which is pretty
attorneys.
cool. I think that's really cool. That says a lot about, what you guys do and your group as a whole to have that type of longevity. So, Jerry, how long have you been with legal aid?
I'm just over 5 years now.
5 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time. Now, do you all have a specialty, or do you cover all those services that Bob mentioned?
Most of the attorneys in the different groups, you end up specializing in a certain area.
Okay.
You end up working in one of the departments. I spent a lot of time in our elder law department. I've jumped around more than most probably because I've done our elder law. I've done disaster law for a while. I did small business law, worked a little bit of time in our domestic violence department, and a few different times in different areas of elder law.
Okay.
Now I'm currently in our pro bono department, trying to reach out to attorneys around town that are doing pro bono work for us, whether there's a conflict in-house or just an area that we don't quite touch on, but it's something that we're willing to assist with.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And Jerry's really amazing because whenever there's a need and we don't have someone to fill it, I can always
just call Jerry. Jerry's on it. That's awesome. Okay, cool. So, one of the things that I think is really neat about this also is that so Palm Beach County just it amazes me because there are so many nonprofits around here, right? So, who are some of the nonprofits that you guys are interwoven with? And I know it's probably a ton, but just to name a few off the top of your head.
Well, we have a nonprofit legal assistance project. That's one of our programs.
Okay.
And we provide legal services for 60 nonprofits here in Palm Beach County.
Oh my gosh, okay.
So we are like we're like the legal arm of the United Way and the social service agencies.
That's awesome.
But just some that I'm sure you know, the Lord's Place, Adopt a Family, Families First, housing partnerships, pretty much any nonprofit who has a client, they may be a client of Legal Aid's as well.
Okay, that's really cool because obviously this show is geared towards nonprofits. So we always have nonprofits on here, and some of them have been around in Palm Beach County forever. Some of them are new and just starting out. So what is the process if I'm a nonprofit and I can't necessarily afford some legal help, but I need some legal help in regards to, maybe it's setting up my nonprofit correctly, or, what are some of the types of things that you would help a nonprofit with, and how could they get started with you if they needed your help?
Well, they could call the Nonprofit Legal Assistance Project. It's run by attorney Vanessa Coe, who's an employment specialist.
Okay.
And you can talk to her if there is some funding. What we charge on that, it's usually between $3,000 and $5,000 a year for our services.
Okay.
We do make exceptions for nonprofits that can't afford it. Also, if you're a member of the Children's Services Council, they also pay for some of that, as does United Way.
Okay.
But if you're a brand new nonprofit, you really don't have $3,000-$4,000 to pay. If you call us, we have a panel of lawyers who will talk to you just about getting set up.
Okay.
It's when you get larger that you really could probably use us, and you have a lot of HR issues and you just can't hire a HR person on your own. We can provide that service.
That's really interesting. Okay, cool. And then if I'm just a person that wants to be involved, do you guys have volunteer opportunities? I'm not a lawyer, but I love your mission and I really want to help out legal aid in some way, shape, or form. What can I do?
Well, of course, we do have lawyers, a lot of lawyers who volunteer, and that's through Jerry's program, the Pro Bono program.
Okay.
But also, if you have experience, maybe working with children, working with elderly folks, working with people in the low-income community, you can perhaps volunteer to do intake for us one day a week, speak to the client, find out what the client's problem is, and then you would turn it over to the attorney. Also, and Dana probably will talk about this, that you can always volunteer for our special events.
Okay.
If we have special events, we always like to have people from the community in there.
Perfect. I love that. Yeah, and we will get to your special event because it actually sounds really amazing. What are some things that maybe you guys want people to know about legal aid and what you're doing? Is there anything new and exciting that is coming up, or maybe some of your programs are changing or services?
What I always want people to know, and this is even lawyers in the community, when we say, do you know about legal aid? They say, yeah, you have lawyers who help low-income people, but they really don't understand the depth and breadth of what we do. As I said, we have 21 programs.
I can totally see that.
In addition to they don't know all these children programs we have that have won national awards all over the country. We are also the public guardianship for Palm Beach County. We were asked by the court about 20 years ago if we would be the public guardian, and we are the guardian for over 100 indigent, incapacitated elderly who have no people to take care of them, no friends or family. And we've just been asked, and we've just been extended to be public guardian for Martin County, Okeechobee County, Indian River County. So those are things that people aren't aware of.
Yeah.
The other thing, very quick, is our fair housing program. And this has no income guidelines. If anyone has been discriminated in housing in Palm Beach County, we get money from the federal government to represent them. And we've won a number of fair housing cases where people were discriminated against. Discrimination, it still exists. It's much more subtle, but disabled people, we find, get discriminated against. LGBTQ people may get discriminated against, people with children. So we're there to help them. We are starting we're expanding out a veterans program to help veterans and their families.
I love that.
We just did a partnership with United Way called Mission United, where we will be representing veterans and their families with any legal issues they may have. Feel very strongly about that, folks. Veterans do so much for us, and I really feel when they come back, they're not given all the services they really deserve, and we need to give them. And it looks like we'll be getting a grant from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs to expand that program. 1 out of 25 in the country, we've been chosen to do that.
Congratulations.
So we're doing that. We're also now working on a financial literacy for young people aging out of foster care. There are a lot of young people aging out of foster care at 18 years of old. If it's extended foster care, maybe a little older. And like many of like my children, other people's children, you have a safety net. You always have your folks, your grandfolks. These young people don't have anyone. And so we're going to be working also with them. And we also provide services for 20 young people who have aged out of foster care with developmental disabilities. Some are on the autism spectrum, who we are their guardian advocates. So we take care of their financial needs, their social needs, and keep them in their least restrictive settings. So those are things people don't realize legal aid does.
I 100% agree with you, which is why I was really excited to have you guys on here, because I think that immediately people think legal aid, it's for somebody that's in trouble with the law, that can't afford a lawyer, and they call you. Or it's somebody that just, has some type of legal matter and can't afford a lawyer, and they call you. But they don't realize that it's all these like really important comprehensive services and issues that are going on in the county that I talk to every week with nonprofits about foster children. That's a huge one. And also protecting just vulnerable people, the elderly for sure. If you don't have anyone else around here to advocate for you. And thank you for covering all of those, because I think that's really important that people don't understand when they just hear legal aid.
Yeah. I'll always say to people when I meet them, and I say, I can go on forever, which you can hear.
Yeah, which I love.
I said, but, I'll give you an overview, but I'll take you to lunch and I'll tell you more than you ever wanted to know about legal aid. And the community really depends on us. And whenever there's a new issue in the community, it's usual that we will get a call and they'll say, is there some way you can help out?
Yeah.
So we are a traditional legal aid, but we do a lot more like we're the only public guardian, the only legal aid that runs a public guardian program.
That's great. That's so cool. I love that. That's really interesting. How many legal aids are there in the country? If you had to guess. It's mainly by county, right?
Well, every state has it.
Yeah.
And every county is supposed to have coverage. They may not have a physical presence, but it's like Oklahoma Legal Aid has one legal aid, but they have offices all around.
Gotcha.
New York has tons of legal aids. We have about, I want to say about 37 here.
Yeah. Because, again, like I was going online and I'm like, is there just one legal aid? Like, the main legal aid, but there's really not. Like I went down this rabbit hole of many
all
offices.
separate. We're all private nonprofit corporations. So we don't want to like have the Boys and Girls Club has Boys and Girls Club of America.
Correct.
Red Cross has, but we all do collaborate. If there are problems with people in different states, different counties, we try to help them if the problem is here in Palm Beach County.
That's cool. Well, and I mean, just from your you called it Public Guardian?
Yeah.
Your Public Guardian program alone. I mean, I would think that if there were other legal aids out there, it's kind of like you guys have the framework for it. So you're kind of the experts on it, which is really cool.
Well, there are a number of Public Guardian programs in Palm Beach County, but they're not with the legal aid. They're all separate.
Okay.
The court had asked us to do it because nobody wanted to do it. So that's one of the issues we have. I have a problem, Janelle, saying no.
I can imagine.
So we always get a call and say, could legal aid do this? And
let's figure this out.
Dane is training me that, listen, if they're not going to give you enough money to run the program, Bob, we can't. Yeah. But
it's hard though. You want to help everybody. I
really do.
I can understand that. That's your whole life's work here. That's the whole reason you're here. So I get that, and that's really it's really commendable. Yeah. What else can I say? So let's talk a little bit. Let's get into some of your events that you do. Maybe not your May 20th one. We'll get to that one because that's like the big one. But what other types of events are you guys doing around in the county? And you're doing fundraising, obviously, right? You're trying to fundraise and do a lot of things. So what are some other things?
Probably that you guys do? Other than the celebration is our campaign for equal justice.
Okay.
And this is it's a campaign where it's a mail-out campaign, and we contact every lawyer in Palm Beach County, and we ask him or her to either do a legal aid case for us or to make a donation of $350 or more to legal aid. And that generally each year, and most of them do more than the $350, that raises for us about $400,000 a year. Awesome. And we get about 2,500 lawyers who agree to do cases.
Okay.
We're trying to build that up more because we do have over 6,000 attorneys in the county.
That was going to be my next question. I was like, how many attorneys are here in Palm Beach County?
And someone came down to discuss with us our are pro bono, and when I told them that, they said, "Well, that's about 25%." He said, "Bob, that's really good." I said, "Well, that's not. If that's good,
You're like, it's not good enough for me."
Right, it's not good enough for me.
Yeah.
So we really want to get the attorneys, but we do have a lot of good support from the legal community. We do a golf tournament, the Cup of Justice golf tournament.
That's fun.
We've done that. That raises money for us. Jerry's very, very active in the young lawyers section of the Palm Beach County Bar. They do a beautiful fishing tournament for us over at the Yacht Club every
5K.
June.
Yeah. That's
They
awesome.
also do a 5K run race for us.
Okay.
And we do some smaller events. A lawyer in town, John Pankowski, owns a brewery and a wine bar. He just did a Pankowski pour for us.
I saw that online, and I wasn't sure. Did that just happen?
Yeah.
That
Okay,
just happened.
that one just happened.
We had done it years ago before the pandemic. And what John had done, it was really nice. He had blocked off the street, South Olive, and it was just like a street event.
That's
It was
so cool.
great. But then he bought this brewery, and now he's doing this for us every year. We had about 125 people there, and
That's
we
great.
raised money there. And I think those are the basic ways. With Dana on board now, we're very excited. She's just been with us
3
months, and she has some great ideas, and we're kind of wanting to get through the celebration, and then Dana has all these ideas for us to do
They just threw Dana right in.
to raise more money.
So your big event is called Justice for All Celebration,
Yep.
right? So that's coming up May 20th. And tell me a little bit about this.
Sure. Well, previously it was called Pro Bono Night, and
Okay.
it was celebrating the attorneys who donate to Jerry's program, attorneys in the community who help us, as well as a fundraiser.
Okay.
But people said it was getting a little old, and we wanted to reinvigorate it, and so we now do pro bono celebration awards in the courthouse. So we just did that in January, and we honored and thanked all the pro bono attorneys in town who've helped us. So May 20th, we're going to have a Justice for All celebration, which we will still be giving 3 awards, but it'll be 3 and not a litany of awards.
Okay.
And it is a fundraiser.
Okay.
So I am a development person, so I keep saying we're raising money. We are raising money.
not
We are
just a
raising
party.
money. It's not just a party. But it's going to be great. And it's in honor and tribute to Bob Bertisch, who was a staff member and dedicated legal aid supporter for years. So we are pulling out all the stops. It's a 1960s hippie themed event.
So fun.
It's going to be so fun. Bob's going to be all decked out.
Are we going to see Bob in a leisure suit?
I don't know.
No,
White,
you
a
see me
white
in a-
polyester suit like disco?
No, that's
Hippie.
70s. We're going to be
Hippie.
hippies.
Oh, I'm in the
We're
wrong
hippies,
decade.
Yes.
I'm a 70s girl. Okay, we're going
It's
back
hippies.
one
Peace
more
signs, suede maybe. So yeah, it's
round glasses.
round, certainly the
Okay.
round glasses. So we have 4 of Hareen's dear friends and supporters of legal aid who are the chairwomen. Our committee is amazing. We're not going to have an auction. We're having a hippie village market, and we're celebrating small business, local women-owned business, and minority-owned businesses. So people will come and be able to shop and support. There'll be really funky music. There's a lot of secrets. I don't want to give all the secrets
Yeah.
out because you have to come.
Got it.
But yeah, it's going to be a great event. We're honoring and thanking Holland and Knight, which is a law firm that is going to receive an award, Scott Smith, who's an attorney in town,
Okay.
and then also Hareen Bertisch and her love of children and children's advocacy programs.
Perfect. And where is it taking place?
It's going to be at the Convention Center,
In the
May
Convention
20th.
Center. Okay.
So the evening of May 20th is a Saturday.
And what time is it running from?
6 until the music stops. No, probably till like 10 o'clock or 11.
Okay, perfect. So
Yeah.
obviously I would assume there are sponsorship opportunities
Yes.
for local businesses that want to be part of it, because who wouldn't want to be part of this? So
gonna be fun.
I love talking about the mission, and I also know one thing about all my nonprofit partners that I bring on here is they like to have a good time in the name of their mission, and
Yeah.
fundraising is always top of mind because
And
Yeah.
And this event is going to be it's going to be great because we're not doing a silent auction. You're just going to come in.
I love the hippie market.
It's just going to be hippie market. We're just going to do a wonderful call to the heart. It's going to be a great night. And then at midnight, we turn 75. So Legal Aid is turning 75 years in Palm Beach County. Yeah, I want to say it's like tomorrow is our birthday, but I'm not exactly sure.
What's the official date? Is tomorrow the actual birthday?
It's like May 4th.
We'll
get back to you on it. It's soon. It's like, really soon.
May the 4th be with
May, yeah. So and Bob said when I came in, I had all these ideas. So I was like, well, heck.
So this is a big, you guys, this is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
You should all come.
Yeah, so this will be a good kickoff to the next 12 months. We'll be celebrating Legal Aid in Palm Beach County for 75 years, which will then really culminate in something even fancier for next May. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So it's every May. So if
every May.
If you're a company out there and you want to sponsor, we'll link it up to the actual event for you on the podcast so people can click and go there. Sponsorship opportunities. If I want to go and just hang out and shop the hippie market and hang out with Bob, Jerry, and Dana, can I just buy a ticket to go?
Tickets are first, of course, on sale online.
Perfect.
It's easy. So we'd love to have you.
Awesome.
It'll be fun. It'll be a great, great time.
Very, very exciting. Anything else, you guys, that you want to cover? Jerry, did we miss anything? Do you want to touch on anything with pro bono? Do you want to explain to people what pro bono is? I know we're circling back to that, but when we were talking about that, just so people understand what that is and what that means. Because again, I think people hear the word and they're like, I know what that means. And then they don't really know what that means.
Right. So our pro bono department is getting attorneys from around town to take on cases that, as I said, we may have conflicted out of in-house because we represented somebody else or for whatever reason, we're not able to represent them in-house.
Okay.
So there's a firewall between our systems that our pro bono department is able to assist and get an attorney from around town to be able to take on the case. Okay. It may be because they have more expertise in the area.
Sure.
It may be a lot of reasons why we send it over to pro bono, but it allows us to be able to provide the services that we wouldn't have been able to provide otherwise.
Which is great. So instead of just saying, sorry, we can't help you and shut the door, let us find somebody that can help you, which is really great.
Right alongside our campaign for equal justice, the Florida Bar kind of requests that of our attorneys every year in Florida to serve and or donate. So
that's a good point. So I was wondering that if that was tied to, keeping your license, if there was anything that was required. I'm sure it's just strongly encouraged, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's strongly encouraged by the Florida Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. The only thing that's required, if you have to report on your due statement, how you've done pro bono or if you've not done it.
Interesting.
So the only requirement is you don't have to do it, but you have to report that you haven't done it. The other thing I'd like to mention, Janelle, we didn't touch on, I just was thinking of it, is how you qualify for legal aid.
Yeah, that's great. Let's talk about that.
Basically, to qualify for legal aid, you have to have an income that is around between 150 and 200% of the poverty level. So just as an example, if you're a family of three, somewhere between 40 and 50,000 would qualify. If you're one person, it's going to be something like 30,000. I guess my staff might not like I say this. We're a little flexible with that, so I wouldn't want someone not to call. Especially if you're in a terribly emergency situation. The other thing is, if you are a survivor of domestic violence, there are no income guidelines.
Okay, that's
we
great
will
to know.
serve any person who comes in who's a survivor of domestic violence. I would never want anyone to leave the office who is in danger and not get our help. However, if it's a husband and wife situation and the wife, let's just say, or the husband wants to proceed to a divorce, then they'd have to be eligible for legal aid.
Got it.
Also, if you're 60 or above, there are no income guidelines, but you do have to do a type of case we do for seniors, abuse and neglect of the elderly, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, things of that nature. And if you're a senior and you call, you will have there's a hotline that you go to.
Okay.
Also, as I mentioned, fair housing, a victim of fair housing, you're being discriminated against. There's no income limit for that. Our veterans, again, they say low-income veterans, but again, we are very flexible with that.
Yeah. Which makes me happy. The veterans,
Well,
I love our veterans. They're like near and dear for all these services.
I know. Just a side, a lot of my staff, if there's someone in the waiting room and is having a problem and doesn't have an appointment, and I'll say, "Well, I'll go." They say, "Don't let Bob go, because we're gonna end up with that case. Don't let Bob go."
We love you for it, Bob. That's great. You have a big heart. Yes.
I was just also, when you were saying how do people get involved?
Yeah.
We're blessed that we have corporations that help us as well. And there's ways, for example, Carrier Corporation, they make elevators.
Yes.
And they're based in Palm Beach Gardens. So why would they be associated with legal aid? There's really not a connection, right? Organic connection. But one of their attorneys on staff is on our board. And so she has worked out with our Veterans Affairs program that some of their staff attorneys volunteer their time and help our veterans with writing wills, estates, legal documents. I'm not an attorney, so I'm probably saying things wrong. But it's just another way for corporations can get involved and help, because you don't have to be an attorney. And then they have seen that their staff members who are not in their legal department have also volunteered time to help the veterans. So, if you're the accountant at Carrier, you might have helped a veteran fill out paperwork that would then the attorneys would help us process. So
Which is awesome.
Right. Like there's a lot of creative ways that community partners and corporations can help us and help the community at large through legal aid programs, but you don't necessarily have to be an attorney. So besides donating and attending an event, like we can get, and that's one of the things that Bob's amazing about, is he's really creative about how we can connect dots and help. Yeah. And he never says no to anyone. So throw a program at him.
Gathering that about you.
Throw a program at him.
You're just creative. You're just creative.
That's what Dana, I'm glad you brought that up, because also Florida Power and
Right.
Light is one of our big supporters, Florida Crystals. So we do have a number, and we're working on getting some of these new corporations.
Which is great, and that's a great point. And I'm glad you brought it up, because they have the big name behind them, but then there's also people there that they have the time and the talent to give their services in other ways. Like I talk to a lot of nonprofits here, and we talk about it's not always just the donate. Sometimes the big guys do the donate, but other people want to help in other ways, and time and talent is just as valuable and just as important. So I'm glad that you brought that up, and I love hearing that there are these big companies that we have here in our backyard that are stepping up and doing that. So,
and when we do have one of them reach out with a legal department or something like that, and they want to work in a particular area, Carrier wanted to work with the veterans.
Yeah.
So they came in and said, look, we want to do veteran work. So we ended up doing a Wills on Wheels event with them.
Oh, that's amazing.
And we were able to do wills and advance directives for a bunch of veterans. And whether they were lawyers or not, we had to have people in there to witness the signings, to notarize. We had to have a lot of different talent in there.
Of manpower.
It takes a lot of manpower.
Yeah.
So they were able to provide a lot of those. And we've had other companies and even local law firms that have their pro bono departments that want to get together and work on some sort of a clinic, whether that's in wills or another area that they prefer. I'm happy to work with them in the pro bono department.
Perfect. Well, you guys, I just have to say that the one thing that I love about everything we talked about today is that there's a lot of hope. So, anyone that's out there listening that may know somebody or themselves may need some type of legal help, sometimes they feel hopeless, like there's no way, like there's nowhere, I can't afford this, there's nowhere to turn, there's nothing I can do. So having these conversations and knowing all of, like you said, Bob, all the different services that you guys touch, I think is really important for people to know. So thank you so much for joining me here today. Is there any last minute things we want to say besides everyone needs to go online, come to the Justice for All celebration May 20th? Sounds right up my alley. So I'm going to go there and buy a ticket, and I'm going to be there. So everyone join us for that. But is there one last thing you would like to leave our listeners with?
Just to let you know that we are always available to do group presentations. We do a lot of outreach. We cover the whole county, so we're out from Belglade all the way to Cuesta. Please, if you have a group that would like to hear from us, to hear more about what Legal Aid does, we're always available. And again, just as Janelle said, if you know someone who's struggling with housing, domestic violence, education for their children, any of those issues, please give us a call, because we're really on the forefront of handling those matters, and we have outstanding lawyers. We've brought a number of class actions that have really changed the laws here in Palm Beach County.
I love that. Well, thank you guys so much. And Jerry, what do you want to leave us with here?
Reach out to us regardless. If it's something that we may be able to assist with, reach out. Even if it's something we can't necessarily assist with, we tend to have the philosophy that I want you to leave better than what you came to us as. So even if it's referring it out to another nonprofit that may be able to assist better at this time, that's what we try to do.
Which is huge. And Dana, we're looking forward to all of your amazing events
Stay
and
tuned.
fundraising opportunities. So thank you everyone again for joining us today here on 501c TV. Check out all of the links that we're going to put up for Legal Aid Palm Beach County and all the amazing ways that they can help out in our county here and beyond. Now you guys are stretching even wider. So thank you guys again, and thanks for watching. And again, Kana House Studios, Wellington's first and only podcast studio. Thank you very much for your time.